Hi, and welcome to the Theme Park Duo podcast. Grab your park map, churro, and hop in line with us as we take you on a coast-to-coast adventure through the world of theme parks, haunts, conventions, and more. Now, here's your hosts, Nikki and Gabriel.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Theme Park Duo podcast.
Yeah, we've been away for a while.
I'm Gabe.
And I'm Nikki.
And we are
the Theme Park Duo, in case you forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back, Season 4, Episode 1. Funny enough, I've been asleep this entire time. I have no idea what's happened between the last episode and now. It's like I've hibernated since the last episode.
That's what you do every winter.
Yeah, pretty much. I just go into a cave. I eat a shit ton of Mickey pretzels, and then I go into a cave, I fall asleep, and then I wake up, and then I'm here.
Okay, yeah. After like a days long pooping session.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually there's some steps that need to be taken in order to kind of get me up to speed.
Yeah.
But we're here. We're going to have a great episode for you guys today. I'm really, really excited. We sit down with EB from Coaster Radio, and we talk about his first ever trip to Universal Studios Hollywood ever.
What?
He's never been.
I think it's hard as locals of California to just think about the fact that people like just are adults and have never been there before.
Well, there's people also who have never been to any theme parks.
I know.
As well.
Hey,
like
hush.
The idea. What is that? A nightmare
That's
situation?
a nightmare situation.
Well, we also have another episode hopefully coming up very soon after this one, kind of relating to the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to be having an episode with my friend Eric, hopefully, where we talk about the fact that he's never been to Disneyland.
What?
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Just as big as this one. But Disneyland, I would argue, is just maybe a little bit bigger.
A little bit.
But that episode should be fun. We're going to have a before and after, so we're going to interview him about Disneyland and his idea of it and that kind of stuff beforehand, and then interview him after.
I think the before might, like, cause a few people to just, like, die. Like, just
Maybe.
Hearing Eric talk
Probably.
about stuff. Give one example of something that Eric told
So I
you.
was texting him, and I said, is there anything in particular that you want to do? Because nobody really knows me personally off of the show except for our friends that listen and family that listen. But I'm the type of person that if somebody tells me, "Hey, I'm going to this place for the first time," and I know a lot about that place,
Gabe's a planner.
and I'm gonna go. I'm going to plan. I'm going to help. I'm going to make sure that person has the absolute best time humanly possible at that place. So that is what I'm doing here. So when I texted him, I was like, "Hey, I just want to get a sense of what you want to do and how you want to do it." He goes, "There's only like a few things on my list I want to do." I'm like, "Okay, shoot, whatever your list is." And one of them was like, "Oh, I want to go on Space Mountain. That's typical." I'm like, "Yeah, of course, Space Mountain. That's already on the list. No problem." I really want to do Star Wars. I'm like, "Yeah, not a problem. Easy. Check. That's already on the list." And then I really want to do that ride where Stitch murders people and they spray you with water. And I'm like, okay, you said like 4 wrong things in that sentence. Let's take it back a few steps.
That's why I'm saying, like, that the before half of that episode is gonna, like, just
It'll be
cause
interesting.
people to just,
It'll be
like,
interesting.
rip their radios out of their cars and chuck them out the window.
A good possibility.
Yeah.
Who knows? If that's what happens, let us know.
Yeah.
That's an achievement. Achievement unlocked.
We will not reimburse you for your radio.
No reimbursements, no coupons.
No. Coupons.
Yeah, coupons. No coupons.
We don't have any
Sometimes
coupons.
they give you coupons and they're like, use this for reimbursement.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
We don't have those.
No coupons.
No.
But before we get into any of that, make sure you guys like the show on social media. Make sure that you guys head over to whatever platform you're listening. If it's on Spotify or if it's on iTunes, make sure to like and review the show. Leave a 5-star review. It always helps us out. It brings us up higher in the standings and makes it easier for everyone to find us and enjoy us like you are right now.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm. So, with all of that being said, let's head into our trip report with EB from Coaster Radio, all about him and his first trip to Universal Studios Hollywood. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our little interview section that we have going here, where we are joined by E.B. from Coaster Radio. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Thanks, guys. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
You know, it took a little while to get this going. I sent you an email a while ago, and just like our schedules just didn't line up, and then we had a date. The date was going to happen. We were super excited, and then I was driving home, and you shot me a text saying, hey, I just sent you a message, and I was like, oh, we're not in the same time zone. Time zones are a thing.
We're professional podcasters who think about other people than ourselves. No, that was totally me. That was both of us. It was great. It was too funny.
No, I felt pretty silly, but, you know, here we are. This is all that matters.
I felt bad about it. I was
now.
like, maybe I should offer to come back on at 1 a.m. I don't know. I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad. I felt bad, too. But I'm just happy that we're sitting down here and we're actually getting to chat and talk about your experiences with Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. And when you guys said that you wanted to do this topic, I was excited about it because it was a really cool trip, and I really like to tell people about this trip, my very first trip ever to a Universal park.
Ooh,
yeah. And did you have any kind of like predisposition towards the park? Any thoughts about it and opinions about it before you went? Because having not gone, I'm sure you had heard plenty about it.
Well, sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing was that there was going to be a lot that I wanted to do because I knew all of the attractions that were there for the most part, right? Like I had heard plenty of times in the past about everything that happens on the studio tour. I obviously knew everything about what was in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I had heard and knew about going to the Revenge of the Mummy, right? That's a classic that everybody loves. Transformers is down there. When I was there, Jurassic Park wasn't open yet, the new one. But there was just so much that that was what I was most concerned about was the crowds, the price, and getting to do everything. So that was kind of my feeling going into the idea of going to the park.
Yeah. We actually, it's funny enough that we're having this conversation now because last night we just recorded an episode for, I don't know if you heard of this podcast, but it's the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Okay.
We did a takeover episode. We were kind of talking about Universal Studios Hollywood for a Universal Orlando Resort guest. So people who were not familiar with Universal Studios Hollywood. And something that we actually didn't talk about, you just mentioned actually is a very good point, is kind of the price point for Hollywood is a little higher than what you're actually getting because the amount of content that's there is significantly less than Orlando, but the price point's actually kind of high.
Well, and believe it or not, I kind of went even higher. I did the VIP tour.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay.
Because I really felt like I'm only going to do this time. I can't imagine how many years it's going to be before I ever get the opportunity to go back. I don't want to like go and do half the stuff and be like, but I didn't get to go on this and then feel like I have to go back. So I wanted to like exhaust my entire Hollywood experience all in one fell swoop. And so I decided, you know what, it's going to be worth it to me to spend the $300+ just to knock the whole thing out. And it was, let me tell you, if anybody else is in the same situation, this is the takeaway. You can just turn the podcast on after this, or turn the podcast off. Go to Universal. If you're only going one time and you don't feel like you're ever going to make it back, or you're from not near there, right? I'm from the Midwest. Do the VIP tour. Totally, totally worth it.
Yeah, because not only are you getting the rides and attractions that you would get with just general admission, you're getting a lot of added extra pluses to that experience, which makes it that much better.
Well, the basics of it is, first of all, it eliminates all thought about going into the park, right? You don't have to stress out about planning your day.
So you could go in as a vegetable and just enjoy it as a vegetable.
Exactly, pretty much, exactly. You could just go and just give yourself up to the VIP tour. You don't have to be concerned about food because they feed you. You don't have to be concerned about parking because you get valet. That was kind of my whole thing was I don't want to have to think too much. I would rather just drop a bunch of bucks and then let it happen to me. Sort of thing, and it worked really well. So the very beginning was trying to get to the place, and I mean it's Hollywood, so this really is Universal Studios. That's something that you might not realize if you don't know anything about Los Angeles. For listeners who don't know, this is an actual studio in the studio district of Hollywood. So you're driving around. these studio lots trying to figure out how to get in. And there's multiple entrances because there's entrances for actors and there's entrances for everybody who's going to be coming in to work on the shows and employees and staff and the whole thing. You have to find the entrance to the park, right? And so it took me a little while. I drove around a few times to finally find it. And that made me really glad I had the valet, because then I didn't have to stress out about parking and walking in. I just went right up and I was like, VIP? They're like, yes, sir. Right away, sir. And they literally roll out the red carpet for the VIPs, which is so much fun. There was a little red carpet there when you park in the parking garage. And then when you walk into the park, they're like, oh, VIP? Go find that red carpet right over there, sir. That's where you're walking in.
It's those little added touches that makes the experience that much nicer. And it's funny because like we go to Universal Studios Hollywood all the time, so I never really think about, oh yeah, I guess the parking isn't that intuitive in the sense that it's clear where you're supposed to go. It actually is very confusing.
It's super... I still get confused. Like, sometimes we go for media events and they have you park in a specific lot, and I'm, like, stressing out because I'm like, okay, what street is that off of? And, you know, it's stressful.
I go to Lancashire, and then I have to go to Universal Studios Boulevard, and then I have to go over a bridge, and then I have to see the homeless guy. The homeless guy, I have to ask him questions. He tells me where to go, and then he gives me a hamburger with a note in it, and that note tells me where to go.
Exactly.
All right, and then you're like, oh, that looks like an entrance. That looks like a really good entrance right there. There's like gates and everything. So that's not where you're supposed to go. Then you get in trouble for going down the giant one-way street at the gates and the security comes out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like entrances, like you said. It's just there's really only two entrances, to be honest. There's the entrance to the Jurassic parking, which is on the opposite side off of Lancashire, and then there's a entrance off of Barham, which you turn up right, and that takes you to the huge parking structure that they just built, and that's where you kind of see City Walk. So there's really only those two entrances.
Yeah, so I think I parked up in Frankenstein, I think is the the lot for the VIP parking. Yeah, and so that was, and then when I got into the park, they helped me out and pointed me, VIP right this way, sir. And that was fun at the very beginning of the day because immediately they load you up into the VIP lounge, which is upstairs in that first entry area, the plaza area, I guess?
So you get that balcony view over the entry plaza area.
Yes, so as a VIP, you are literally looking down on the regular guests as they come into the park. Right.
Literally
and you have
looking down at them.
Your tiny little espresso and your little pastry that you have because they have the whole breakfast spread up there while you're waiting to get your tour together. Yeah, it was great. I like that. The whole welcoming experience I very much enjoyed. It took a lot of the stress out of arriving to the park, which can be tough sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, and then when it regards to kind of the whole experience that you had when you got there, since it really wasn't in your hands, you didn't really have to worry about what rides am I going to hit or what am I going to do, because you're going to get everything done in a timely manner. So after you kind of had your pastry and you were looking down at all the little peons down there, just walking around trying to figure out what they're going to do, what did you do next?
Well, it was fun because I had planned this. We were down there for a CoastaRadio.com listener meetup. We do 1 or 2 listener meetups with our podcast every year. Last summer's meetup was at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which was super fun. And we, obviously, going to L.A., I was like, well, there's like 6 other things that I want to do while I'm there. And this was one of them. And I had organized this just solo, right? I was like, I'm just going to go by myself. I'm going to VIP this. I'm going to do it. Well, a listener... I mean, I talk about this on the podcast. I'm going to go to Universal on this day, and I've got the VIP tour. He also booked a VIP tour with his whole family and, like, the in-laws and the nephews and the nieces and things. So I run into him up in the VIP lounge. And so we're talking, and it's really cool. And he's like, oh, what tour are you in? I'm like, I'm in the 9 o'clock. And he's like, oh, we're in the 9:15. One of the tour guides overhears us and is like, do you guys want to tour together? Like, sure. And so he puts me in their tour, which was really cool that they were able to be flexible like that and set that up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is really nice.
And so they talked to us about what do you guys want to do as we get your tour started. So it was mostly me, this guy's family, and then I think we had like 2 people from like South Central Asia, and then we had like 2 very European people. And so our group was a pretty good group. And the question was, before lunch, where do you want to go? Do we want to go to Harry Potter first, or do you want to do other stuff first and then do Harry Potter after lunch? And the group kind of all agreed that we wanted to do Harry Potter first. Yeah. So we got our water bottles, we loaded up on our last pastries and fruit cups and all that sort of stuff, grabbed a coffee to go, and headed over to Harry Potter. So that was where we went first, and I was really excited because Harry Potter was, I mean, that's the big thing that was there at the time. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd never been to any, I mean, I also have not been to Universal Orlando either. So I was really excited about going into Harry Potter.
Wow. Yeah, I know this is kind of like Nikki's realm. I mean, I love the films and I love the John Williams music. So to me, like, this area is top notch. I love it. But this is like Nikki's thing.
Oh yeah, I read the book several times. I made a trip out to Orlando because their Hogsmeade was open first. I cried like a baby. You know, it's like, you know, this is my thing. So that's super cool. It's like, so how was your first impression?
It was great. It was great. It absolutely lived up to expectations. I think it was just good luck that I was there in the summertime, but it was overcast that day. So it wasn't too hot, but the skies were white because it was overcast. And so, of course, that fit in really well with the whole snow theme, right? If it was 90 degrees and sunny, it might have taken away from that a little bit. But because,
just a little bit.
In Orlando, you see like palm trees off to the left of Hogwarts Castle. It's very
don't look too hard at that.
disorienting.
Yeah, don't do that too much. But no, so it worked. It totally worked. Coming through the gates, going past the train, heading back. We did the Hagrid roller coaster first, which I'm glad that we could cut the line. This is the other thing about the VIP, right? Is everything is cut the line. You've got your uniformed person that just marches your whole group up every exit ramp, which is just fantastic. So, and that's a good thing because the Hagrid roller coaster is, I mean, it's you know, a family
hippogriff.
Yeah,
hippogriff?
it's just a family coaster, and so to wait an hour and a half, you know, to get on that, it wouldn't be that great. But it was a lot of fun.
That's like waiting 2 hours for Gadget's Go Coaster in Toontown over at
exactly.
Disneyland.
What am I doing? Right. I thought the theming was really fun. I really liked the station. That is something to say about being able to skip the line so much is that you do miss out sort of on some of that experience with going through the queue line.
Yeah.
After going on the little Hagrid coaster, which was a lot of fun, and going into the what's the big ride?
Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey.
Forbidden Journey. Yes, going into Forbidden Journey, we went through the back way, and then you go through. You kind of skip everything, and that's got a really interactive queue line. With a lot of stuff going on, the screens and some of the portraits that work so well and do all this stuff. So I was a little bit disappointed there that we kind of went past it. But, of course, I really enjoyed the fact that we got to go past it. You skip all of the wait.
True. If you ever find yourself there again, by the way, sometimes they have a castle tour alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just do a castle tour and just kind of go in. I think they've taken it away from time to time. So I would just, if you ever find yourself there again, just ask. Because you never know.
Yeah.
Well, I went back later in the day.
Oh, there you go.
I did get to go. So I went through this time, and we went straight to the ride, and I was blown away by this ride.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking incredible. You know, even it just like it's hard to kind of figure out what it is when you're in line because they tell you, "Oh, you're going to be on an enchanted bench."
Right.
Well, what is an enchanted bench? I have no idea what the hell that is.
Well, and I knew the ride system, right? And I knew how the effects work, and I knew how everything worked from a technical standpoint, and I had seen POVs of it. But the POVs are whatever that person is choosing to point the camera at. It's definitely not the experience that you truly get riding this thing. I just thought it was really fun. Some of the stuff that you're swooping past, I mean, at this point, do we even do spoiler alerts? You people should have written this by now.
Talk about it all you want.
You go past those Dementors and how close they get to your face. That was, I think, one of the only times I've ever truly been frightened on a theme park attraction outside of a Halloween event was when those Dementors showed up. Like, not the first time, but then the second time. You know,
when you're on your back and you're looking up at all of them.
And they're right in your face. It's really scary.
Fun side note. I broke down there once on my back with all the Dementors looming over me.
Oh, just sitting there still with their cloaks waving gently in the wind.
Hey, how you doing? How's the work going today? I don't know.
That was the last time I did single rider. I was like, oh, well, this is fun. I was just laying there.
That's great.
Now, question for you.
Yeah.
when you almost go upside down in the Whomping Willow section, did you let out a small little itty-bitty scream?
Oh, yeah.
Because I sure did.
Oh, yeah, that was another part. When the Whomping Willow actually takes a whomp at you, it gets close. That's another part where it gets so close. And I think it's so effective because you really are locked into that bench that, that envelope for the passengers is so small. They really can get those things real close to you.
Yeah.
It's very, very effective, I felt. Now, later on, I did go back and I went through the queue line slowly and got to see all of the effects and things. I thought it was really interesting how some of the effects and some of the portraits and some of that stuff looked really bad, but some of them, like the tall room where you go up and you see those portraits, those were magic. I mean, those were, but some of them were just like, well, that's a TV. I can tell by looking at it. It's just a TV in a frame. But those tall ones that when you're in that one room, when they change, that was amazing to me. They look absolutely like real portraits, and then they move.
I feel like they didn't age 100% super well.
Yeah.
I think when it came out, I think people were a little bit more less desensitized to the technology side of the things. But even now that we're so used to it and we've seen the ride and everyone kind of talks about it, I feel like it's a little more obvious how it works.
Yeah. So, I thought the whole experience was great, and it honestly did make me, as soon as I got off that ride, I was like, I have to go to Florida now because I want to ride that Gringotts coaster.
Yeah.
Right? I want to do more because
fun.
I've ridden 2 rides and now I've exhausted all of the rides. That's it. I'm done with Harry Potter, and I wish I had more. I wish I had more to do in the Harry Potter space. So we did agree as a group. It was like, do you guys want to move on, go ride some more stuff, or do you want to take some time on your own to continue here? Maybe go do the wand thing, maybe go into the shops, whatever, and then we'll meet up and we'll go down. And we'll do some of the downstairs stuff or down the hill stuff. And we were like, oh, yeah, we absolutely want to hang out for a while. So we all did the wand experience together. Then we wandered around for about a half an hour. All of that Harry Potter space I was just really impressed with and really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think overall it's probably one of the and this is including my impression of Galaxy's Edge, by the way. I still think that what Universal was able to accomplish with the Wizarding World is still one of the most impressive lands in a theme park anywhere that I've been to. And that's simply based on kind of how the layout of the entire land is, where you kind of have the reveal, even though you know where Hogwarts Castle is,
yes.
You see the spires, you know it's there, the curve of the street to reveal Hogwarts is just a breathtaking moment.
Oh, we all did it. We all did it on this tour, and we all stopped, and the tour guide, I could see that she got a big smile on her face, because I'm sure she loves seeing that reaction for people when it's their first time over, and we all took the dumb selfie like everybody does. It was great. There was it's so funny to see the people that are so into it, and I was one of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty spectacular moment when you see Hogwarts, and just the idea like, oh, I get to go in there.
Yeah.
I get to walk into Hogwarts and go on this ride. It's just a really, quote, magical experience. And with the wand experiences and then all the stores outside of the attraction, what other kind of things did you really appreciate about that land?
Oh, the one thing I appreciated was that other people bought the wands. So I could just stand behind them and watch all of the special effects happen. So you get these wands, right? I mean, your listeners know this, I'm sure. You buy the wands and then you can go around and you can find the wand, I guess, like runes or like wand instructions in different places around the Harry Potter land, where you can wave the wand in a certain pattern in front of a window, and then the window animates, or like in front of the big doors, and you can hear the growling of the creature that's behind the door.
Yeah, that's a new one too, and I actually really like that one. That one to me is one of the coolest.
Yeah, but you don't have to buy the wand, because you just have to stand behind the kid that bought the wand.
Yeah, but you want to be magical, right? You want to be a muggle on the loose with a wand, right?
It cost you $50.
If my kid was with me, if my kids were with me, I'm sure I would have bought a wand to do it ourselves, because
of course
kids can't handle that. They can't stand behind some other kid. No.
Yeah.
No, they're gonna be like, I want what that kid has right now, Dad.
Right, exactly.
So did you get to do Ollivanders?
Yes. So we went into Ollivanders, which I thought was kind of, I don't know, it was pretty cheesy.
It's a little cheesy for sure. I think it's I don't know. Like when I first did it, I was like, It's a little cheesy. It's fun. It's fun, but it's cheesy. And the more I do it, the more I get into it.
I think it also depends on the actor.
True.
The talent.
Yeah.
That makes or breaks
Super
it.
true.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, because if they're cheesing it up, that just enhances how much that dumb flower looks really, really fake. But I suppose if they were really trying hard, they could make you forget about that. I mean, that was, I think, the thing that took me out of it some was everything else feels like it's trying really hard to be real and give you that feeling. Going into Ollivanders was like a cheap magic trick with a guy in a Harry Potter costume.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
So,
I can kind of
you know
see
what I
your
mean?
perspective.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, this is not really living up to the experience that I want, that I've been getting everywhere else, because this is obviously just a guy, and that's obviously just a trick, because I can literally see the light in the ceiling that's making that light effect happen. It's not magic.
Yeah. It's just
And then-
Nosferatu in the corner flipping the switch.
Right, and then they
SpongeBob
give
references.
then they go up to the kid who had the magic wand, and it's like, and thank you for that wand. You have to give it back now, unless your parents want to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the weird part of that experience where they kind of say, our assistant will give you the details on this. It's like, you mean the details of your parents having to give a credit card over?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
that's a very specific detail. This
Right,
kid's
the
gonna be
wand has
crying his
chosen you, but
brains
only
out.
your parents can buy it.
The wand really wants to go home with you.
Oh, you're going to make this wand so sad. I have to put it back in the box on the shelf.
Oh, I hear it crying. I'm putting it away. Kids start sobbing. Parents have
Right.
to shell out the $50.
Exactly.
What happened with us is that Nikki bought a interactive wand separately out of that experience, because she wanted one, and so did I. So we went off and did that, and we did all the experiences, and they were like, oh, well, let's do Ollivanders. Of freaking course, Nikki gets chosen in Ollivanders, like of course.
Right.
So the entire experience happens, and she's sad at the end of it because she's like, I already have a wand. I'm not going to buy another one. So I went and talked to the team member there, and I was like, hey, here's the deal. We literally bought this wand 30 minutes ago, but now we want to buy this wand. Is there any way that you could return this wand so we could buy the one that chose her, because it's, come on.
Right, because
Come
she
on.
chose a wand in a gift shop. That wand chose her at Ollivanders. There's a big
Yeah.
difference.
Luckily, there was zero hesitation.
Oh, good.
Absolutely, of course, not a problem. Follow me. Let's do it right now.
Awesome.
So Nikki got her wand that chose her with the special box, which we still have, and it still has dust on it.
The fake dust.
The fake dust,
The
which
fake
they
dust.
don't do
They
anymore.
don't do
I
that
don't
anymore.
think.
They used to blow the dust off of the box. But
Like, it's
yeah.
been sitting there for thousands of years,
Waiting for you.
Yeah,
for you.
they don't do that anymore.
That was
that's
actually the one moment that actually gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like with the music and him, like, oh, I've been waiting for you, and he pulls out the dusty ass box. And,
Yeah.
and just blows the whole thing all away. I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's been waiting
Someone
for
probably
her.
complained.
Now, this is something, whenever I go to a park, and it's been a long time that I've wanted to go to a park or for an attraction or anything like that, I always worry that I'm getting, the 10-year-old version of the experience. So you guys have seen this park evolve, especially the Wizarding World, if you go in there all the time, Nikki.
Yeah.
What
Oh, yeah.
What am I missing? What else did I miss by waiting to go this long?
Honestly, nothing else has really changed.
There really
I
hasn't been a significant
Oh, okay,
amount
good.
of...
Forbidden Journey used to be 3D, but you're not missing anything.
Oh my
there.
god,
It's
that
so
was
much
horrible.
better now.
You would have lost the breakfast that you had eaten in the VIP area if you had done it in the 3D version. Trust me, missing nothing there. If anything, I mean, the only thing that you missed is not having hot butterbeer year round, which we have hot butterbeer year round, unlike Orlando, which is kind of nice.
Oh, okay.
So you actually got something extra by not having come earlier. Other than that, not much has changed. You got a wand experience. We have hot butterbeer now year round. That's really it.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, good.
So I don't think
Great.
they mess around with Hogsmeade all that often when it
Yeah.
comes to kind of changing things. The only stuff that I think that has been major additions is the nighttime shows that they've done seasonally.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. And I was not there for any of that, so I didn't see that.
Which I was under the impression that when they first kind of announced the first rendition of this, I was like, it's just going to be a projection show. Like, they do this at Walt Disney World. They do this at Disneyland. Like, it is what it is. Life goes on. We saw it, and my mind was completely blown. And in each iteration of that, they've kind of
just better and
stepped it
better.
up, stepped
Yeah.
it up, stepped
Oh,
it up.
neat.
And
Yeah.
even in the last one, they had,
The
and I'm
drones.
sure you saw this, they had drones fly out behind
Yes.
the castle and formed the stag. And oh my God, there was not a dry eye in the house. It was just awesome. And I
that's
was
really
like,
cool.
I don't need fireworks right now. So if you come back and they have that show, you have to see that show.
Oh, very cool. Well, I think we're going to get down to Florida in the fall, so maybe down in Florida. Or do they have the show in Florida, the night show?
They did have the Dark Arts at Hogwarts Castle show there, but from what I understood, they did not have the drones. They did not have the stags.
Ooh.
Maybe
Maybe by this fall they'll add that, because I think I'm going down to Universal this fall.
Oh, I'm crossing my
Florida.
fingers for you because it's super cool.
That's very cool.
And by the way, are you a drinks guy? You like drinks?
Sure, I like drinks.
Like having hard liquor every now and again?
Sure.
Next
Yeah.
time you find yourself at the Hogshead Pub, get a hot butter beer and order a side of cinnamon whiskey, so like fire whiskey, Fireball, and
Oh.
then dump it in your hot butter beer. It is magical. It is.
Ooh.
Yeah, I always say it's Christmas in your mouth.
That sounds great. Yeah.
It's fantastic because the hot butter beer itself is it's really rich. And that cinnamon whiskey just cuts right through it, and it actually makes it less rich, but still adds another level of flavor to it.
Cool. That's a good tip. That's good.
Right? There you go. We talk about that all the time.
We do.
We talk about drinks a lot on the
That's
show.
that's the number one. That's the tip right there is get this drink to make
Yeah.
your experience so much better.
Yeah. Skip the rides. Just drink the whole time. Don't do rides.
So that was the Wizarding World. We spent a lot of time there. I probably the first couple of hours, and so at this point it's close to a little after 11 o'clock, I guess. And our guide says, "Okay, let's go down. We've got the Revenge of the Mummy, and we've got Transformers on the lower area, the lower part of the park." And then I remembered, oh, that's right. I remember hearing about this park having this weird second level that you have to go down to.
Yep.
And so we go heading in that direction. I had no idea what that really was going to be like. I mean, talk about something that I kind of remembered, but exceeded my expectations. That's a lot of escalator riding to go down.
The
a
vertical
lot.
escalators.
It's an extra ride. They should honestly put it on the map as a ride.
Yeah, I think the tour guide was telling us that it's the longest elevation change by escalator, like second longest. I think there's some sort of subway system in Hong Kong or something like that has a longer escalator ride.
I'm not shocked it's in Hong Kong. That makes plenty of sense.
But no, so escalator, and I'm riding this escalator. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose half my day riding these dumb escalators.
Yep.
We finally get down to the bottom of the escalators. And this was in the summer, so Jurassic Park wasn't open yet, but we could see what was happening down at Jurassic Park, which made me really sad because that was, like I mentioned at the beginning, one of the rides that I had heard about for years and years and years was the Jurassic Park ride. And so I was really sad that it wasn't open. We had our fingers crossed that maybe it would be in soft previews or something like that, but no such luck.
Yeah. So you get down to the lower lot. Mm-hmm. It's like 5:00 p.m. now.
Right, exactly. It took us the whole day
you
to
have
get
30
down.
more minutes.
They served us lunch on the third escalator. No, so we get down to the bottom, and there's two rides down there. We've got Transformers, the ride 3D, and Revenge of the Mummy. Okay, they've got a couple of people on stilts that are dressed up like the Egypt people. You've got, I forget if it was Bumblebee was out front in front of Transformers or if it was Optimus Prime, but it was one when we went in and one when we went out. And so that was cool to see those walk-around characters. I was very disappointed with Revenge of the Mummy.
I'm not shocked by that.
And
at all.
I think a big part of why is two reasons. Number one, I really, really like the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And it immediately made me feel like, oh, this is kind of like Indiana Jones, just because the theming of going into a temple and there's bugs, right? That just kind of gave me that. And then the second thing is, again, I had a vague idea of all of the attractions. I got this mummy ride mixed up with the Orlando mummy ride.
Ooh, there's that.
So I was expecting all of these other things to be happening that never happened.
No Brendan Fraser.
No Brendan Fraser.
No fake out, right? There's supposed to be a fake out ending,
endings.
right? And so, yeah, I was just totally disappointed. Some of the effects were cool, but ultimately, because I kept waiting for that fake ending, I think, I'd never experienced a ride that had a fake ending before, so I was really excited about it, and then it didn't have it, and I was like, I thought there was a fake ending. Like, no, dude, that's Florida. It's like, oh, no.
So can you tell Nikki how wrong she is? Because she likes this one better than Orlando.
I do like it better.
And and you're allowed to be wrong.
That's fine.
Why do you like it? Why do you like it better? What's
I like
better
the
about
going
it?
backwards thing.
She just likes the backwards part.
Yeah, backwards is good. Now, I thought there was a fake ending and a backwards part, and so the backwards part I was expecting. So wow. So I wonder if I rode the Florida one first, would I be disappointed that I didn't go backwards?
See, you go backwards in Florida.
Oh, you
but
also do.
It's literally, you know how in this one you stop at the bugs and
you
then
do the whole
that's
thing.
the transition
Yeah.
backwards? In Orlando, you go to the bugs and you do a dip backwards and then you stop, you hit a turntable, and then you change directions.
Yeah.
And literally
It's
that's it.
backwards for just a hot second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, next was the Transformers ride, and this was, I probably would say, a ride that I didn't have a lot of anticipation about. Like, I wasn't really looking forward to this. Like, okay, I guess we'll go ride this.
Yeah.
And I think that made me really enjoy it, was because my expectations were so low. I thought this ride was fantastic.
It's a really fun ride.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not Spider-Man. Spider-Man is still, to me, above it because it's the same type of ride system. But this is really fun. It is a completely different beast in entirety of itself from that other attraction.
Yeah, I mean, just the way that they made the screens really make you feel that you're moving a lot more than you really are. I felt like there were times that I was taken into the story and into the motions of the screens more than I have in most other rides of this type. You know, any other dark ride with screens where you just always feel like you're looking at screens. You never really feel like you're crashing through an office building or, you know, flying through the butthole of a robot. But this one, I felt like that, right?
Well, first-time experiences ever. You never knew you were going to say that when you left Universal Studios. I was in a butthole today.
Well, seriously, if you've ridden this ride, we rode this ride, and I leaned over to the person next to me and was like, "Did that robot just poop us out?" Because you fly in and then you fly out the back.
No, you're totally right. You're 100%
That's
right.
absolutely. I also really enjoyed the fact that this ride was constantly telling you the names of the robots as
Yeah.
if you care.
You know what?
Right?
You were totally right. I
It's
never thought
constantly-
about that.
Constantly
ever.
like, watch out, here comes Ratchet. Oh no, don't worry about it. Here comes the Star Blaster guy.
oh no,
over
it's
the place.
Devastator.
Right, always telling you the names of these guys
That's
as
so
if I
funny.
have to remember it to buy them at the store later. Yeah.
That's so funny. I've never actually thought about that ever.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to write it. I'm going to be like, oh, God, Eric, damn it.
Stop telling me about the robot names.
Stop telling me the robot names. I know it's Optimus. You don't have to scream his name every 10 seconds.
So
No,
then we
you're
were like,
totally right.
so then our tour guide is like, does anybody want to ride one of those again? Because we're never coming back down here.
That's so final. It's so
Well,
blunt.
because why would you want to lose a half an hour of your day going back up and down those escalators the second time? So we all
Yeah.
agreed that we were
Totally
ready for
right.
lunch. We go up the escalator and then up the other escalator, then up the next escalator, the next escalator, and the fifth escalator. We go to Moulin Rouge is our lunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that
So
was
it's
really,
like right across the street from the Parisian
Yeah,
Square. It's like
yeah.
right there.
yeah, so we come up the top and then I guess we make that right-hand turn and head back towards the Minion space to the Moulin Rouge restaurant. That was really fun. It was a super swanky buffet. I was really impressed by both the breakfast buffet and then this lunch buffet. When I've told people about it, they're like, oh, what was on the buffet? And I said, everything. Everything was on the buffet. Whatever it is that you would want to eat for lunch was on that buffet. And you could go back multiple times and you could get the drinks and they had all kinds of different coffees. Plus, which was really fun, indoor-outdoor seating. So you had that choice too. We had a couple of walk-around characters
Oh, cool.
just visiting us. Yeah, that was fun. So we had Doc Brown come visit us, and we had Dracula.
Nice.
And the Dracula was fantastic. He was so much fun. And I'm sure they have multiple Draculas that kind of behave differently, different actors portraying Dracula. Our Dracula was just a fabulous Dracula.
Was he genuinely trying to scare people?
No,
Okay.
he was just super creepy and fabulous. So he would just come over and be like, "Oh, how's your lunch going? Your neck looks supple."
Yeah, there's a few different Draculas I've seen, and I think I know of that one. That's how
He
often
was great.
I go.
Yeah.
But there was another one that I've seen. The reason why I asked if he was actually trying to scare people is because there was one Dracula that I've seen. Like, he hisses at people in the middle of a photo, and
Oh.
people freak out, and it's
No.
hysterical.
No, not this one. No, he would ask people where they were from, and they'd be like, I'm from Italy. Oh, spicy.
Yeah, and speaking of meet and greets, I know that you had mentioned you saw the Transformers meet and greet. That's honestly one of the coolest meet and greets in the park, in my opinion. Like this gigantic robot you get to meet, and then especially if it's Megatron, because he just talks mad shit to everybody.
He's talking smack.
Yeah, he like talks smack to people. He's like, "I'm gonna crush you, you puny human," and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna weird this guy out. I'm gonna do something he's not expecting. So I'm in line. I'm ready to get into the in front of him. I literally go in front of him and get on one knee and bow to him. And he's like, "Yes, finally a human who understands." I was like, "Yeah, that's right." And people were like laughing and stuff. I was like, "I bet you that guy was not expecting that at all." So those meet and greets are super fun. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, yeah, I really liked the characters that were walking around. They all were into it. It was cool seeing characters walking around that weren't, like generic amusement park characters. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, they could talk, which is great. Like, you go to Six Flags and there's a Tweety Bird or there's a Sylvester or a Taz or a Bugs, but they're just characters that walk around, can't talk. These are characters that that have personalities that can talk to you and interact with you. That I just thought that was really, really cool.
It makes a big difference, and it really actually helps create specific memories when you actually get to go, and they leave lasting imprints. And one of the things for us is like we were at. I don't honestly remember if this was in Orlando or if it was in Hollywood, but you were wearing a Doctor Who shirt.
Oh, Doc Brown?
Yeah, so no, Doc Brown...
It's the same Doc Brown at Universal Hollywood every time, and he comments whenever he sees
a Doctor Who shirt. So he saw her Doctor Who shirt, so he like runs up to her and starts talking about Doctor Who and time travel and his time travel and all this stuff, but like it's a phone box and his is a DeLorean. It was just a really interesting interaction that we weren't expecting, because it wasn't like we sought him out. He saw her and run up to her to say something. So you're 100% right. And I actually personally think that Universal has some of the best meet and greets in theme parks. Yeah. Period. Because they're unique and different. And like you do have the characters like the Minions where they're stick arms and they can't say anything. But for every Minion you have an Optimus Prime, a Lucille Ball, a Dracula, things like that.
Yeah, that was something I was disappointed about with Galaxy's Edge. At Disneyland, there were characters, right? We did find Rey. We did go find that other, the main rebel girl, whoever that is. Kylo Ren was there. Yeah, she was there. I just wish there were more. Like, I feel like the whole place should be populated with walk-around characters. I don't know.
We did a pretty extensive episode kind of breaking down Galaxy's Edge and, if kind of that experience is what people want or, what is it lacking and things. And one of the things that we end up talking about is just how, what's the word I'm looking for? How calm everything feels. Like, it feels like there should be like a hustle and bustle to this place.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing planet. And having more characters walk around. And I'm fine with it not being like a genuine, like, this is where you meet Kylo Ren over in the Kylo Ren corner. Like, I'm fine that it's not that and he's walking around and it's more organic, but there needs to be much, much more. I completely agree. C-3PO and R2-D2 make sense within that timeline. Why are they not walking around?
Yeah.
They need to add more to the experience to make it feel like it is a planet. Because right now it feels like a theme park land as opposed to what they want it to be.
Right. Like when I was there was, and we'll just leave Universal behind now, talk Disney. When I was there was one little vignette with some stormtroopers doing a little show up on that elevated walkway thing. But that was really the only actual sort of scripted thing that happened the whole time I was there. And I felt like there should be more, right? Like if every 2 hours there was an explosion of some sort and then the whole land reacted somehow. Or, you know what I mean? And everybody, I don't know. Anyway.
What's funny is that, like, during, I'm gonna jump back in time a little bit, but during, I think it was like a Year of Adventures or something. Disneyland had some anniversary and they were doing some special stuff. And they actually had an Indiana Jones show in Disneyland in Adventureland.
Ooh.
And an actor dressed as Indiana Jones would be in like the outside queue of Jungle Cruise fighting bad guys. He would run down to the bazaar, run through Adventureland, fight more guys, run up the Tarzan treehouse, and have like a duke out fight on the bridge. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. That's my jam. Like, that is the thing I watched growing up, and I have the hat, I have posters, it's my thing. So watching a scene play out that potentially could be from a movie was a dream come true. Why don't they do something like that more often in Galaxy's Edge for all the Star Wars nerds that are out there? Because I guarantee you, they're like, I want to see Kylo Ren F up some dude over there. Like, I want to watch some stormtroopers get shot off of a ledge, have like a very simple stunt, things like that. And unfortunately, they just don't. And I know there was huge budget cuts when it comes to that place, but hopefully in the future, they'll hear the cries from the theme park nerds and they'll do something about it.
Well, and that, I mean, I've heard the rumors about Universal Orlando with the Fantastic Universe coming, the possibility of a Lord of the Rings space where it would not have an attractions focus, but it would have more of that immersive, character-driven story focus, where it really would be you are inserted into a story in action happening. So maybe that's the way Universal can come back against the Star Wars land, is by doing it right, where you do drop into a story for a few hours. I think that would be fantastic.
That would be really cool.
I want to go to the Shire.
You want to go to the Shire?
Yeah.
Right, and not just visit it and look around and see it, but be in it for real with dozens of hobbits walking around, and then the wraiths come, and then Gandalf saves the day. Exactly, all of that stuff. It would be cool.
Now, my question would be, and we're diverging off into a different direction here, which is it's totally fine because that's the story of the show completely, but it's tangents. But my question for you is that after you first experience that and then you say, oh, that was so much fun, I got to live in Lord of the Rings, I got to do all this stuff and it was fun, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time that you visit, are you going to want to interact as much with them? And they're going to be like, come on, let's go on an adventure. We're going to run together over here to find the ring or something. And you're like, no, I'm good, thanks. No, come on, we're going to go do it. No, I'm good. No, come on, we're going to shut up, leave me alone. Bilbo Baggins,
I'm a
go
season
away.
pass holder. I've done this already.
How long will that go on until people are like, okay, we're good?
I think theme parks have enough first time, once
visitors.
Every 5-year visitors that it's not a problem.
Well, Orlando was
any
much
different
more.
For you guys? Is that
what was
different
that
for you guys? When you go back to Universal Hollywood and go back to the Wizarding World for the umpteenth time, is it diluted for you, or are you still experiencing it and still having fun with it?
I think we're still experiencing it and still having fun with it, and I think it's because it's a little less. It's less intrusive in the sense that if we want to make a choice to interact with particular characters, or if we want to go do something, we have that free ability of choice to do it. We don't have to. We don't get bombarded like as soon as we enter.
I see. Yeah, you wouldn't want to have. They'd have to design the experience so that you're not dragged along against your will. You have the choice to participate or hang back and observe. Yes, it would have to be. Yeah, for sure.
So, like as an example, Knott's Berry Farm has something called Ghost Town Alive.
Right.
I absolutely love Ghost Town Alive. I actually think it's probably one of the best interactive experiences at a theme park I've ever experienced. But Nikki is not that type of person at all. You actually absolutely hate the idea of being approached and asked a question.
It stresses me out to no end.
You know what? It's kind of like when you're walking through a city. I mean, you mentioned the homeless guy, right? That you have to ask directions of. It's like walking through a city and somebody says, change. Well, do you look at them and say, sorry, I don't have any money today? Or just eyes forward, ignore them straight ahead?
I ignore. I ignore
Nikki
Ghost Town Alive, too. I ignore it.
That's Ghost Town Alive, right? It's the cowboy is like, I need to find a posse to wrangle up together. Will you join me, ma'am? And you're like,
I will not join me. No, that's
ahead.
exactly what it is.
They asked that question
to you.
Yeah.
They literally asked that question.
Form posses.
Like the sheriff is like, we're having a meeting at the jailhouse at 3, so be there at 3. And then at 3, there's a group of people waiting for the sheriff. And the sheriff's like, we're forming a posse. Who wants to join? And then inevitably you see like 5 people kind of do that Homer Simpson backup thing into the bushes.
And you're like,
they
oh, I
wanna
don't
be
have
there.
any cash
That's
on me
me
today.
every
I'm
day.
sorry. I got to.
Yeah. So like, if it's going to be that where you walk into Ghost Town, or theoretically, if you walk into the Shire, are you going to be approached immediately? Because for me, I'm okay with that the first couple of times. The 3rd, 4th, 5th time, just let me enjoy it. I want to be a bystander and watch other people do it, because at this point, that is my entertainment value, is the people watching aspect of the experience.
I think the actors would be able to read the vibe. I think they can do that.
They would have to be like, hey, if that person looks like they want to shank you, probably don't talk to them.
Yeah, if they just want to eat their lunch on a Shire bench, yeah, that's fine. You know,
On a Shire bench.
Yeah.
It's so specific. It's
Not
not
a
just
regular
a bench. It's a Shire bench because it's in the Shire.
yeah, of
It's a
course.
little bit smaller, has some grass, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to go eat my lunch at that Star Wars table, and then I'm going to go take a dump in the Star Wars bathrooms.
Gotta specify.
Gotta specify. Anyway, moving back away from the tangent and coming back in line with what we were talking about. So you left the lower lot. You went back up the escalators. It is now the next day. What did you do?
Well, we had our lunch. We had our lunch with the and the lunch again was fantastic and awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was able to get.
I did want to ask you, what food did they have? Because you said yes, they had everything, but
name something that you would want for lunch.
Sushi.
Yep.
Oh, whoa! Holy crap! Well, I meant more or less. Did they have the theme park food there too?
No.
So it was
no.
specialty.
This was
food.
like, imagine
craft
if you went to Universal and you said, I've got a lot of money, I'm getting married, and I want my wedding reception at Moulin Rouge, and I would like you to put out everything for my guests in a buffet. That's
We
what
looked
this
into
was.
that.
we did.
We
look
did.
into
did
it.
We
you?
looked into.
Well-
we looked into a Universal reception.
I mean, this is what it was. It was like high-end wedding caliber buffet where it was the sliced
crab legs?
Oh yeah, crab. I mean,
Oh my
seafoods. They had a guy there slicing up the different cuts of meat for you. They had like all sorts of different kinds of salads and a big salad bar. They had multiple types of different sorts of pastas that you could select from. They had little sandwiches that you could get. They had soups. I mean, they had everything. Everything that you would want for lunch. It was out and it was there for you.
Goodness gracious.
It was amazing, and all in desserts too. I mean, it was fantastic.
Nikki, get me a napkin. I'm drooling.
It was wonderful, and you could get a coffee to go on your way out, and then what did we do next? I think we went over and did The Walking Dead because it was nearby, and there were a couple of people that had talked about that during lunch, and I thought that was cool that there is a walk-through haunted house attraction with live actors all the time in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually really enjoy having that.
That's really
if
unique.
You're missing that haunt. You're having like a haunt craving. You could easily go there, go through that, and you get it enough so that you feel it. It's not
And
that
some
intense
scenes,
though.
yeah, some scenes were good. Some of the automated things were really cheesy. A couple of times the actors were not great because you could tell it's like, yeah, that guy shoots that shotgun 10,000 times a day or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and his timing was off and whatever. But it was fun. It was fun to go. Like you said, I went through a haunt with live actors in the middle of the summer. I've literally never done that before.
Yeah, and it's very well done for what it is.
Yeah.
And you had asked me before, like when it comes to like Harry Potter, like what did I miss before coming? Well, when it comes to this, what you missed before coming, since you hadn't come to Universal Studios before Walking Dead ever existed, before that entire like Starbucks area and that Universal store, there was a year-round haunted attraction that was called the House of Horrors, and it was all original Universal monsters. That's
okay.
what it was. And it was this gigantic brick Gothic castle where you walk across like a drawbridge, and inside the queue they have like death masks for like famous actors, props from movies, and each scene that you walk through in this maze was Nosferatu, the brides from Dracula, The Mummy, Frankenstein's monster, just literally everything you imagine, Psycho, Wolfman.
Yeah.
Each scene, and they actually had a couple like inventive monsters near the end, and they actually had a chainsaw guy at the end chasing people out. So there was
Yes.
always a group of people outside the exit waiting for the rev.
Oh, to
and then
watch,
people got
right.
excited, and then you see someone like pooping their pants, running as fast as they can outside that exit, and the person's like, there's like a Chucky chasing him, and the dude with the chainsaw. So it was always super fun. So unfortunately, that's gone, and they kind of built that whole area. But at least there is something still that is spooky scary for us spooky scary kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought a year-round haunt, I think, that's something special that the park still has. That's cool.
100%.
So next, I think we went over and I think we did the Simpsons ride, which I was impressed with the whole queue, the whole loading system. I thought it was really neat how you felt like you were in your own space, but in reality, it was everybody watching the same giant screen. I just thought the mechanics of that ride was pretty good, and the effect of the 3D motion simulator I thought was above average for sure. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Didn't bother me at all.
Are you a Simpsons fan?
Not so much anymore, but I mean, as much as anybody, I think I like The Simpsons. This was, I think, the time that I reacted in a way, because we had already gone, experiencing Disneyland, and riding the Simpsons ride was really when I was like, wow, there's a lot of guns happening in this park, because there's like Sideshow Bob's got the guns, there's guns down in Transformers, there's shooting. I mean, it's a PG-13 park, right? That's always been the park's rep, is that it's a little bit more grown up. You can get beer here, and it's cool. So anyway, after that, we went down to the studio tour, which was great.
This is like the most unique thing about the park compared to other Universal Studios parks.
Yeah, so this is a legit studio tour, and because we're VIP, we do the VIP studio tour, no waiting in line, and we get our own exclusive trolley.
Yeah, it's those blue trolleys we see all the time where we go through like the sets and they're like walking, doing their own thing, and I'm like, screw you all.
Yep, so we're not in the multi-vehicle open-air trolley. We have our own air-conditioned with a video screen, our own private guide, live-in-person trolley. And we drive through everything. We actually get to stop and get out a couple of times, which is really cool, which is a part of the VIP experience. It's funny going on the studio tour because they stop and they show you either, hey, here's a movie from a really long time ago that you've probably never seen, or they stop and they show you like, oh, here's a Amazon exclusive show that you've never seen, or like here's a Netflix show that's in its 10th season that you've never even heard of.
Yeah,
I just because there's so much content out there right now.
Your Surrey's going off.
I was talking to her. So we went and we saw the. I guess they were shooting the last season of A Good Place, the Ted Danson show. And so there were a couple of people in our group that were like, oh my gosh, it's A Good Place. It's a good. And I was like, I don't know what that show is.
I watched that show. It's a really cute show.
I've never watched it.
So we got to get out and we got to see that. We got to get out and go inside one of the studios where they were shooting Superstore, I think is the name of the show. And
that's cool.
You would think it was cool, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about what the show Superstore is...
So you're at Costco?
It's like a store.
It's a store. And so it was like, we're going to go inside this big box building, and it's a TV set. And you go in, and it's like, this looks like a fake Kmart.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's because that's what the show is. It's about a fake Kmart. So it was just really funny going into a fake Kmart.
What did you do at Universal Studios? Went to Kmart. It was great.
Yeah. Except it was fake, and it was smaller. Yeah.
And they didn't have the product I was looking for.
Exactly.
It's the worst.
They wouldn't let me buy anything.
It was all fake things. Then we went around and we went to the town square. That's the famous Universal Studios town square where they did, Gremlins and Back to the Future and every other movie that has a town square. And we got to get out again, which was kind of cool. The VIP tour gets to get out and you get to walk up to the buildings and touch them. And so it's like, it doesn't feel like stone. It doesn't feel like brick because it's fake. Or this one is just, literally a piece of canvas that they've stretched over a frame. You get to experience some of that kind of stuff on the tour. Jaws was great. I thought it was really funny. The Fast and Furious ride was probably the dumbest thing of the entire day. I thought it was so dumb.
No,
it was so dumb. It was so bad. The whole time I'm sitting there like, is this still happening? How long is this going on? It looked bad. It felt bad. You could see like I said with the Harry Potter, like where you or the Transformers ride, where you're actually immersed at points into your screen experience, and you forget you're on a ride vehicle. No, you're sitting in a dumb room with a big movie screen for that whole time that you're doing that Fast and Furious. I don't know if maybe it would have been better in the other tram vehicles. Maybe
it's not. It's not.
Okay. Yeah, it was bad.
It really is not. And in all honesty, like, it's funny how bad that is. And when you look at King Kong 360 3D, which albeit isn't like A+ material, it's still very good. And I just went on the tram last weekend, and I was still very happy with how King Kong looked. And I'm going on Supercharged, and I'm like, what is going on?
It's really no good.
Why did I get splashed with water? There's no water around. Is that Vin Diesel sweat? Because I want that nowhere on my body.
Vin Diesel
That's weird.
sweat.
Why is that happening?
He wipes his sweat, and it splashes across an entire tram vehicle. That's how sweaty he is, right?
That's so disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
It's really not the best thing in the world. I'm just actually, you know what? We're kind of in a weird position because we love the tram. We hate Supercharged. Orlando's lucky because they have a choice of whether or not they want to go in it at all because it's its own attraction. We are forced to go on this thing if we want to do the tram.
Right. If you want to go see these things, you have like, oh my gosh, I thought it was so funny. The Psycho House. I didn't know that Norman Bates actually would come after you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the funniest thing. I was cracking up laughing. So you go past the Bates Hotel, the Bates Motel, and you see Norman come out and put
With
the body in the trunk.
Body.
And then he sees, again, this is a PG-13 park, right? We're murdering women in this park.
Yeah.
And then he sees you and starts to come after you. And I think this was part of the VIP upcharge experience that made it worth it, is we don't have the screens telling us the story. We don't have the screen reacting to this stuff. We have a real person that can joke with us and get along with us, and she can, gauge the audience and play along with us. How much of the cheese factor does she really want to go in with? It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to like the actual the real trams, because you have like 4 different cars. That front car, not really going to get the best experience. That back car though, he gets so close. If they are genuinely freaking out, he pulls out the knife from his jacket pocket, and those people in the back tram are squishing to the other side of the tram because they're just trying to get far away from him.
Right, because it's a real person. You don't know. Maybe that guy murdered the actor, and now he's actually a murderer.
Yeah, who knows?
One time, Jim Carrey dressed up as the mom from Psycho and hid in the bushes.
Or as Norman Bates, dressed as the mom.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Technicality. Oh my god, it's so annoying.
Right.
He was dressed as an old lady and he jumped out the bushes.
Okay, that's fine.
Jeez.
That'd be Jim Carrey in those bushes.
I think that's Jim Carrey. I really liked the tram tour. I thought it was super fun. It did everything that I wanted it to do. I liked the flood. That was really dorky and kind of fun. And at that point, our tram operator, our tour guide, kind of knew us, and they're like, "Oh no, there's flood waters coming. I guess you didn't expect that. Oh boy, here it comes." We're all cracking up laughing.
See, we did. I like that because at least it's still something physical. It isn't a screen.
Yes,
it's a real thing that's happening, and it makes such a big difference.
I thought Earthquake was really cool too. Speaking of practical effects, and that was kind of neat. And she showed us a couple of clips on the monitor of when that set had been used in the past in real shows. It was like, oh my gosh, that same earthquake has happened like 5 different times in television history. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Our final stop on the tram tour was the Prop House, which I thought was cool. We got to stop and get out and go through the Universal Studios Prop House.
So cool. That's the one thing that I know that happens on this tour that I just want to experience so bad.
Yeah, if you've ever been through any sort of prop house ever anywhere, this is exactly what you expect it's going to be. It's a warehouse with shelves and thousands, probably millions of different things, each of them with a little tag on it that you can sign out the item. She was talking about how, for the most part, it's not major films or even television shows that use this anymore. They used to back in the day, but now the budgets are so big they just buy fresh. It's more a rental house, which I thought was really interesting. And she was talking about how independent productions come and rent for the most part. I thought that was kind of neat. So you can actually go and you can rent, Bill and Ted's guitars and put it into your own movie now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's actually really fun that kind of experience, because it is a working, living, breathing.
It's a
studio.
real. That's part of that real part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to actually have people come, because I feel like people, when they come to Hollywood, they come to LA, they have like this idea of what movie making is, and it's kind of like that romanticized version of Hollywood. Trust me, when you go to Hollywood Boulevard, the pee smell will knock that idea right out of your head. But when you're going to this, you're getting real information about the movie making process. process, legit facts of this is a set, this is how it works. These are the type of lights we would use. The door frames are smaller because they wanted the men to look bigger in the cowboy shoots. And,
Yeah.
you know, all just minuscule details that you would never, ever think about, but now you're leaving having learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. I really liked that. And yeah, like you said, it is a working studio. And so you do feel that at different points in the experience, like even going down the escalator, you know, or going to the back of the Minion area of the park and looking over the wall and seeing Hollywood. You are reminded over and over again that you're actually in Hollywood where the movies are happening.
Yeah, you see all of the San Fernando Valley, and
Yes.
you could say, oh, there's Disney over there. You could see Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is over there. If you look even further, that's another Disney building. Like, you could point all of them out. And to me, that also is one thing I wanted to bring up, and I actually forgot to bring up on a recording the other day, is that view is
Yes.
absolutely jaw-dropping. It is such a gorgeous view, especially if it's little clouds, you know, bright orange-red sunset. Oh, my God, that view is just gorgeous.
Yeah, you're talking about over the wall at the Minion area, right?
Well, there, or even like there's like once you go down 2 escalators and 1 escalator, you have like the outlook area.
Pause and
There's
go
there
off to
too.
that little overlook right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really so. The last thing I want to talk about on this trip is maybe my most favorite, because I'm a sucker for this sort of thing, and that would be the Waterworld Stunt Spectacular.
Yes, you are our favorite person, because that is our favorite
I
thing
was
too.
just sitting here sweating. Like, if he says he skipped Waterworld, I'm gonna like leave the
I'm
room.
going to lash out irrationally.
I mean, again, you got to budget your time when you go to a park like this, and you know you're probably not going to come back. I went and saw that show twice.
Yes.
Good,
oh
good,
my God.
good,
That is
good.
the right choice.
So good. Number one, I don't care what anybody says. I love the movie Waterworld. I think
Yep, I do
think it's so good. And then I just love a good stunt spectacular, and this one was so great. The actors are all super cheesy. The effects are fantastic. I knew the plane thing was going to happen, but I sat in exactly the right spot so it came right at me.
Sweet.
Which is
That's intimidating.
so good to see that plane come right over that wall and come straight at your face. I am very happy that when Deacon came out, I don't know how this happened. I don't know why this happened, because I don't know if people just aren't. Are they not familiar with the movie and don't know who Deacon is? Deacon comes out on that floating barge or whatever. I stood up and I cheered. Everybody else is booing.
Everyone boos.
Because I was like cheering him, and he like sees me and he like points at me, and I'm like, yes, man.
Oh man, that's funny.
That's
great.
really
the
funny.
best. Oh, it was the best. And I just, yeah, the jokes were great. The actors were all great. I thought the guy who was the Mariner, the Kevin Costner character, I was like, you're a big wuss. I don't like you. I was cheering for Deacon the whole time.
The thing about that show is those actors really, really make it.
Yeah.
You know, if you go there and you see it, you're still impressed by the stunts, but if the actors aren't on, it just feels kind of like a different experience. You're kind of just there to see the stunts. But the actors are on, the jokes are hitting, the timing is fantastic. It just takes that show to a completely different level for us. And above the show and everything else, the pre-show that the kind of atoll people do with squirting people and getting them wet and just completely effing with people is so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that's part of why I wanted to go back, is to see how much of it would be the same and see how much of it would be different. But then, of course, you're in this big arena space where it's a battle, right? Is what they're simulating.
Yeah.
Is an attack on the atoll, and so there is action happening in multiple places at the same time. And so, are you watching the Mariner as he's running across the top, or are you watching the girl as she's fighting down on the ground in front of you? And so, I really needed to go back and see it twice to experience it all again. And I also went back and I did Harry Potter again. Right, that was another one that I had to go. Well, the first time I went through, I was just like really blown away and experiencing it. Now I want to go back and try to pay attention more. So if that tells you anything about what I liked best at the park, what I went back and did again, those were the two things. Yeah.
And I know you don't listen to a lot of theme park podcasts, but we actually did an episode where we interviewed 2 people from Waterworld, and one of them was the guy who gets lit on fire at the end.
Yeah.
So
everybody likes a good high dive fire stunt.
This might actually give you a lot more respect for the guy. So as soon as he gets lit on fire, he has to hold his breath till he gets out of the water. So that means as soon as he's lit on fire, he's holding his breath,
Yeah.
He falls down in the water, holding his breath.
Now I
swims
remember,
under
like,
the water, then
Isn't
gets
he
up.
like
then
on
he can breathe.
fire? He's like on fire up there
He's-
all the way at the top. And then after he's on fire, he has a fist fight on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like
and
up. It's not like he gets lit on fire and then falls over. He gets lit on fire and then actually gets in a fight with somebody.
Yeah, he's
before he
like
goes
running
under.
around for a while.
Oh,
And
yeah.
He's holding his breath the whole time.
The whole time he's not breathing.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
me, that stresses me out. Thinking about that, I'm like, I need to breathe more right now because I need
I
to breathe.
do remember that. That was a good effect. That was awesome.
Yeah, Waterworld is still to this day one of my favorite live stunt shows anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what do you think? That takes up a lot of real estate at that park, and there's a love-hate with the movie.
I'll murder somebody if they get rid of that.
I would be devastated. I mean, I feel like it might go eventually because, you know, they want to expand Harry Potter or do something else, whatever. It makes me so nervous that it's backed up to Harry Potter. It makes me so nervous.
But the thing is that they can't, just because of the layout and the way everything kind of works, because in between Waterworld and Wizarding World, there's a bunch of stuff. It's not like they're just going to bulldoze everything there. They have this new animation store there and a few other things. They can't get rid of all of that in order to make everything Harry Potter there because they've spent time building that kind of like Main Street feel.
Yeah.
So if they do build something and replace it, it's not going to be like that. They're going to probably end up making more of a Main Street and just attaching it from the back. But there isn't that much space, to be fairly honest. I mean, you could see Harry Potter from Waterworld. You could see Hogwarts Castle once you're in the stands.
Right.
So the distance between there and Waterworld isn't huge, but at some point, inevitably, the time will come where Waterworld will go, and we will be very upset because this is one
I'm
of our
glad.
favorite things.
Right. I'm glad I got to experience it. That is easily. I always seek out the stunt shows whenever even like a small park that has like a dumb Wild West stunt show. I always go to see it because they're always so dumb. This one, by far, is my favorite that I've ever experienced. Even more than the way back in the day, the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. I saw that one back down at Disney. And this one's better than that.
Yeah, it's
we agree.
significantly better. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually one of the most highly rated attractions at the park.
Yeah.
Period.
Probably. Yeah, it wouldn't
one of the
surprise
top
me.
two.
Well, maybe that's what's going to save it then, is everybody still
Yeah.
loves it.
I think that's the reason why it's been saved for a long time, is the fact that it just consistently gets people in the seats.
Yeah.
Even if they leave soaked to the bone, which they do. And they still love it. People cheer and hoop and holler in that show. So that's a testament to what they're doing there. So I'm happy it's still there. I'll be sad when it goes. I'm glad that you got to experience it.
Yeah, I'm glad I did. The whole experience, I think, was great. I don't think I would have experienced it the same way without doing the VIP tour. Again, if you're going and you don't think you're going to be able to come back anytime soon, I totally recommend the VIP tour. It was so much fun and totally worth it, even though it, hit the wallet a little bit. It was great. Now, I did not ever experience anything outside the park with City Walk. So that is definitely something that I would go back and do. If I went back to LA, I would probably make an effort to just go up and down City Walk to experience it, kind of like downtown Disney. I didn't really do anything there, but to go and experience it, to say that I'd been there, I didn't even get to walk up and down City Walk.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the typical thing, kind of like an outdoor mall with a whole bunch of stores and stuff. But there's a few restaurants there, man. When you come back, you have to go to. They have a place called Antojitos, which is like Orlando's, but ours is more Mexican food inspired as opposed to like Cuban. Mm-hmm. And they also just opened up a new Italian restaurant called Vivo, which is so good.
That sounds great. That sounds good.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, was that kind of the end of everything? Once they let you go, you experienced those last two things, and then you went home, or at least left the park?
Yeah, it was a short operating day at the park because it was during the week. We finished up our tour officially, and they released us. And that's something that's nice about your VIP pass, is that you do the VIP, and then your VIP pass becomes a regular cut the line pass.
That is very nice, an express pass.
Right. So there for the rest of that afternoon, I was able to go through and ride a couple of things again, get the preferred seating at Waterworld. When I went back over to Harry Potter for that second time, I was able to cut the line and ride everything again. Because, like I mentioned before, the CoasterRadio.com, our listener meetup was up at Magic Mountain, I had to drive to get back up north to my hotel room. So I can't. I think, did the park close at 7 that night?
That would make sense.
Yeah. Does it close at 7 during the week?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I left around 6:30 or 7 to head back up.
Yeah.
But it was a great day. It was a great day.
So looking back on it all, what is your now impression of Universal Studios Hollywood? Because everyone kind of talks about it as, the smaller park, the less impressive one, because Orlando is so big and vast. They have a lot of room to expand. They have a lot of really big rides. What is your impression now after having gone?
I think the comparison or even the complaint is not unlike the way people compare and contrast Disneyland with Disney World, right? Where Disney World is just massive and huge, and there's so much more. Where Disneyland is small, but it's the original. And it actually is Disneyland, where Disney is and where it all started. This park is sort of like that, where, yeah, maybe it's smaller, but it's actually at Universal Studios. And again, unless you're in a ride or in Harry Potter, you know it when you're there, right? You feel like you're at a studio lot. You feel like you're at Universal Studios. You're constantly reminded that you're in Los Angeles. And I think there's something special about that, and especially that tram tour, where you really do go around and you see the real stuff. I thought it was going to be dumb, and parts of it were. Parts of it were cheesy, right? Like, really, the War of the Worlds plane crash set from a movie from a long time ago. Can we clean that up now? It just looks like garbage. But other parts...
Does anyone even still use it? I think I saw that set in a commercial a while ago.
Yeah.
Like, how could you even actually use it anymore? Because it doesn't look like a plane crash. It looks like a plane crash that happened 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think they mostly keep it also because, well, one, it's a good part of the tram tour for a lot of people who end up coming, but they use it for Halloween Horror Nights every now and again because they have the Terror Tram. So you actually walk through that area with whatever monsters and crap. So, that works well for Horror Nights.
And why clean it up until you have to, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So leave it there and that's fine. Well, it's just like with the, they show you the big old water tank. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is the big water tank where we can shoot ocean scenes. And it's like, yeah, but now you use computers. That's why it's empty and looks like garbage.
No, you're 100% right. They're like, we used to film over there. We shot this movie from 1999 over there.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like right where Uncle Buck's cabin is. Thanks.
Yes, from the Great Outdoors, which is kind of which is fine. Also, it would be cool if I think the tram tour would divert and not show you some of that old stuff. I would love to go through an actual. It wouldn't even have to be real. A fake studio that was built up with flying rigs and green screens. Because that's what you always see with behind the scenes of the movies, right? Is all huge green screen studios with flying rigs and all that kind of stuff. Drive me through that, because that's how movies are made now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that would be cool.
Did you do the special effects stage show?
No.
They kind of do that. They kind of do that in a way. It isn't you driving through and saying, like, oh, that's how all that works. They demonstrate each one of those things.
Okay.
So they have, like, a green screen portion. They have miniatures. They light a dude on fire in the show.
That's
and they even
good.
have, like, a rig where they have some guy go up and... It's this whole gag where they get guests from the audience and like, okay, well, we're going to dress your husband or your boyfriend up as this astronaut and you're going to control the remote and he's going to go flying. And then they do a quick switcheroo and it's no longer the husband, it's a stunt guy. So the sister, mother, husband, like girlfriend or whatever thinks it's their significant other and they're controlling him and he's flipping upside down and flying all over the place
and it goes like
whipped
haywire,
back and forth. And she's freaking out, and then they do the reveal, like, oh, we're just joking. But it's all under the guise of, this is how they do it in the movies.
Right.
This is what they do. These are the techniques they use. So they do it, sort of, but not in the way that you were kind of describing, which I think would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, go through like a real space, even if it wasn't being used at the time. Because there were plenty of parts that we got to go through and, see like, oh, yeah, they're not shooting today, but this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I'm glad that you got to have this opportunity to go and really do it the way it should be done, especially if you're not going to go often. You got the special VIP treatment, and it sounds like you had a blast. And just by hearing it, I got excited for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I feel like I would not have had as much fun. The other thing, this is my own personal tip for anybody who is nervous about spending this much money on something, and because I'm not the type has piles of cash to go spending $350 on an amusement park ticket. Buy it like 6 months in advance. And then by the time you heal from the trauma of spending that much money on a theme park ticket, you've already bought it. And then you could just be free to enjoy the experience.
No, yeah, you're totally right. But even when you think about it, like a day's ticket is probably what, $100 at this point. Then
right.
You're going to
spend
spend
money
money on
food and parking. Right, and parking and everything on top of it.
Yeah.
You're only going to pay a little bit extra for that premium experience. So yeah, just bite the bullet and do it. It's totally worth it.
Exactly. Well, this was an incredibly fun episode hearing your perspective on Universal Studios Hollywood, which is literally 5 seconds away from where we live.
Yeah.
So it was really fun hearing your perspective, and thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your experience.
Yeah, it's great. I had, like I've been talking about, I had a really great time on this trip, so I'm happy to share it with anybody who wants to listen to my stories. I get to relive it myself that way.
And I don't think anybody needs any information on how to find Coaster Radio or anything like that, but for people who may not know where to find Coaster Radio or how to talk with you, how can they get in contact?
Awesome. So coasterradio.com, we like to call ourselves the original theme park podcast. We have been podcasting since 2005. Pretty regularly. So find us over at coasterradio.com. It's a weekly 1-hour podcast. Myself and my friend Mike, we do that show. It's pretty laid back, a lot like your all show, kicking back and always some sort of discussion question or a contest or some interactivity with the audience, interviews, all that sort of stuff. We also have a daily podcast called Theme Park News from coasterradio.com. You can find that also at the website, coasterradio.com. It's on iTunes. It's also available on your smart speaker device. So if you've got a Google Home or you've got an Alexa and you've got yourself set up with a daily flash briefing that reads you the news, go into your app and add Theme Park News from coasterradio.com. We have daily theme park news every single day.
That's super cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Should set that up on our Google Home.
Yeah, when I'm drinking coffee in the morning.
Do it. Just add it right there to the routine. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that a lot. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cool. Theme Park News, coasterradio.com. Thank you so much, guys, for letting me be a part of your podcast today.
Of course. Thank you again for coming on.
Welcome to Universal Studios Hollywood, the entertainment capital of L.A.
He really did his trip right. He really did. He hit everything that needed to happen, and also because he kind of should have done a little bit extra money there for that VIP, too.
Yeah, which now I want to do that, too.
It's bad. All I've been thinking about since that recording is
the buffet.
The buffet. We walked by the door where that buffet is, and I'm just, drooling excessively, and I'm being followed by, this guy mopping the floor behind me. It's bad. It's really bad.
Honestly,
it needs to happen.
You know what? Maybe for, one of those milestone anniversaries, we just do it,
No, we really should.
Just like another one of those milestone anniversaries, we are finally going to stay at a Disneyland hotel.
So, milestone anniversary is 4 years to the date that both you and I first had the discussion that you don't like red meat because it makes you feel gross.
That's already gone. That's past.
Then we're late.
Then
we need to go.
Okay, so this year is our 4th year anniversary. So I say for our 5th year anniversary, we do one of those things, and then we have to wait till 10 for the next one.
I would. Okay, if I were gonna vote,
yeah,
hands down, if we're doing something big for 5 years, I would want to stay at the Disneyland
Hotel. You want to go down that water slide?
Nice, there you go.
No, let's
the
be honest
monorail
here.
water slide?
Let's be honest here.
Maybe.
It's because of the monorail water slide.
Hey, that works every day as opposed to the monorail in Walt Disney World, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I really, really, really want to do the Disney Hotel for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and come home.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
With Aaron or without Aaron?
Without.
I think we'd have to do with.
No.
Maybe not. Grandma could have her for a weekend.
A couple days.
Yeah.
Bring her back. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll plan it.
Okay.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Well, okay.
But back to the episode.
Yeah.
No, he definitely put out the money in order to have a fantastic time, and he really did it right. He was able to do everything. I feel bad that he didn't get to do Jurassic World. I feel really bad about that.
Yeah. You know what? It'll open eventually. in Walt Disney World. I meant.
Oh God, Jurassic World and Walt Disney World.
Oh no!
You heard it here first, people. Breaking news.
I meant Florida. I am tired.
Very.
Obviously, I meant Florida. So yeah, so it'll open in Universal Florida eventually.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
It might not. There's currently I've heard no major.
That's true.
Rumors about it. I mean, they're building some Velocicoaster or whatever the crap it's called. Over there in Islands of Adventure, and they're redoing a lot of things, but one of them is not Jurassic World.
Yeah. Oh, well, who knows?
I personally don't want them to change that one because it would be nice that both Coast Universal parks have two different attractions.
Yeah.
Because as it is, Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Orlando Resort have a lot of duplicate attractions, and to me, it's just like, what's the point in going to either one of them if they have all the same stuff?
If they're carbon copies. Yeah, exactly. No, I totally get that.
So, but thank you, EB, for coming on our show. We had a fantastic time talking to you about your trip to Universal Studios Hollywood. And before we go, one really big thing that happened between Season 3 and Season 4 that we have not talked about yet, obviously, but I've talked about it on social media. Rise of the Resistance has opened at Disneyland. So I was there opening day in the rain, 2:30 in the morning, and I did the whole thing. The experience was absolutely insane. Like, it was a great day. And then Nikki and I went
just like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago for your first trip to ride Rise of the Resistance.
Or a week ago. Was that last week?
Yeah, it was last week.
Just a week ago.
And that trip was so intense because of the whole boarding group system and just all of it.
It was pretty gnarly. Okay, so let's just preface this with, we have a 1-year-old, and we're up at like respectively 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock every day. I'm up at 5 o'clock every day during the week, and then we immediately rolled into Saturday. We gave Aaron to the grandparents
on Friday.
So, we check into a hotel, and we are up just at the same time, if not earlier.
Nothing changes for us, so it's great.
We were up
and getting ready
before dawn. We were up way before dawn, getting ready,
pre-dawn,
getting our butts over to Disneyland to get in line, because we were there so early because it was the extra magic hour.
Yeah, well, it wasn't extra magic hour. Well, it was magic morning.
Magic morning. It was magic morning for the people that had the 3-day tickets, the 3-day SoCal tickets.
Which we stayed at a hotel down the street. Where did we
Not
stay?
Disneyland.
We stayed at the Hilton of Anaheim.
The convention center one.
Convention center, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were super close. So we walked. Really early in the morning to Disneyland.
So then we were only waiting in line for 30 minutes before the gates opened for the magic hour at 7. And so we were in the park, we were having fun. We did a few rides. We did Peter Pan, Matterhorn, a lot of things that we wouldn't do if there was a really long wait. We were going to do Star
Tours, and then we're like, we should go wait over there.
Yeah, so then we waited by the entrance to Adventureland, and it's kind of funny because our plan was originally, and Gabe talked about this on social media, his plan originally was to go and run, to Splash Mountain to get the physical ticket. I was going to run my chunky ass all the way to
Splash Mountain, and then I saw the crowds of people.
We saw the crowds.
I looked at you and I was like, I'm definitely not going to be.
We realized that we would not make it there before 60% of those people. So we're like, okay, plan B. Go to an unpopulated area and try like crazy to book on our phones. And so we go next to Big Thunder, waiting there about 10 minutes early. And Gabe's like, well, let's just walk closer to Galaxy's Edge. And we start walking. And as we're walking, I watch my bars on my phone go down to 3, go down to 2. And I was like, Gabe, we have to turn around.
We have to go back.
So we go back to Big Thunder, and we wait there, and we both try like crazy. And Gabe actually his phone just won't let him.
It wouldn't let me get a boarding group.
It wouldn't let him get a boarding group.
Once you click my status, the join boarding group never became highlighted. Even the join boarding group that's next to my status, or whatever that button next to it, never went either. So they were both grayed out. So nothing ever changed.
And
I don't know if that's a glitch or not.
Well, apparently it happened to a lot of people that morning. A lot of people were like, it just wouldn't let me book, and they got 100 and something. But
that day they definitely got on.
They did, yeah. But thank goodness I was trying too. And so we got boarding group, 48?
48.
48. So we got a pretty darn good one. So we
What
rode
time did we ride?
noon. We rode at noon.
They had a really good day that day.
Yeah.
A great operations
Well,
day.
they had a great operation day till like 8, and then it shut down for like
they
2 hours.
They did.
Yeah, and so I don't know if they made it like
they reopened. I remember them kept going.
I think
they
the last
cut
time
it
I
off, though.
checked, it was like 113. That
They probably cut it off.
Yeah. So they got pretty high. But yeah, I rode it. It was amazing. Everything was working except for one Kylo Ren that was in B mode, but it wasn't even like a majorly big one. It was the one where he's on like the
deck.
The deck, and you're below, like
Star Destroyer.
watching him and Weasley talk. I can't, the redhead. Yeah. So I mean, it was pretty incredible, and I almost have no words. It's just like it's a whole experience. It's not even just a ride, from the queue, and you get on that transport ship, and it gets hijacked, and then the moment when the doors open, and you're in the Star Destroyer, and it's even cold in there, like space, like it's so cool, and everyone's in character. All the cast members were spot on in their character, except for maybe one that we had a little bit like, she could have done better, but it's fine, and it was amazing, and it was like the highlight of the day, and yeah, and we had a great day. I pooped out, or pumpkined as we call it.
We call it pumpkining. Nikki pumpkins, and the reason why we call it that is because
like in Cinderella's
carriage
turned into a
midnight
pumpkin.
Turns into a giant pumpkin.
I didn't even make it till midnight. I fell asleep on Gabe's shoulder
on Jungle Cruise
in the Jungle Cruise at like 8:30.
So we were gonna see Fantasmic, and Nikki's like,
I
"I'm so sorry."
So we went back to the hotel room and watched TV and ate
we
popcorn.
laid down and had snacks, cup of noodles, and like my phone buzzed. I look at it, it's like, we need to go see Fantasmic. And Nikki's just like, I'm sorry.
No, yeah,
it was fine.
No, yeah. So
trip.
we pooped out early, or I pooped out early, but it was a good day. We had a good time.
It was a very, very good day.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to briefly talk about, it could be a much larger conversation, but let's try to keep it kind of short.
Yeah.
Is the whole boarding pass situation. Everyone's kind of bitching and moaning about it. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's like, a boarding pass is totally not fair. Because Disney is promoting it as a virtual queue. And in a way, it is a virtual queue because you don't have to wait in the physical line.
And
the entire day.
No,
but it actually isn't a virtual queue, because a virtual queue would mean that everybody would potentially have a chance to actually ride the attraction. And the way that it's run now is completely random. We actually spoke to a cast member. They said that the numbers that are given out are completely randomized.
Yeah.
And it's more of a lottery system than anything else. And there really is no perfect way of managing the crowds for a ride like this, because if they were just to let everybody in and wait for the ride, the line would be going out the main entrance of Disneyland all day.
And I think it's actually smart and I even think that Disney should have publicized more that, hey, it's a lottery. It's not first come, first serve, because that will cut down majorly, and it has, I think, even in this short amount of time, on how many people are getting there super early, because people know you don't need to get there at 2 a.m. You can roll up at 7:30. As long as you're in the gates by 8, you're fine.
Yeah, and if you have good internet on your phone, then you're totally fine.
Yeah.
You can do the boarding group thing on your phone wherever you want.
Yeah. So I honestly think it's fine. It's fair the way they're doing it, and it's easy for the most part for people. Like, you have to know what you're doing, like with your phone and stuff, but it's easy for people to do it. And I appreciate the fact that, I can just plan my day accordingly. Like, okay, at 8, you try to get a boarding group number. Once you know your number, you know your chances of getting on the ride. You know about when they'll call that number, maybe, so it's like you can plan your day. Okay, do I have time to go on this many rides and then make a reservation at the Blue Bayou for lunch? Yeah, I'm boarding group 80, so probably, it's like, so, and I feel like it gives everyone a chance to enjoy their day and not have to wait in a super long line, or like be resentful that they're not going to get to ride it, because people just will plan accordingly. And I And people say like, oh well, you're waiting all day and then you still have to wait in a line. It's like, not really. It's like
because
you're waiting.
You're going on rides, you're going in restaurants, you're going in stores all day long.
No, but then
it's
even
different.
but once your boarding group gets called, it's not that long of a wait.
It was 20 minutes the most.
Yeah, but then part of the line is part of the experience, so it doesn't even feel like you're still waiting at that point.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like part of the line at all.
Yeah, so I'd say like before all that starts, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I don't think that there would be any situation that Disney could have done where people wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah.
There will always be people complaining about what Disney chooses to do.
Yeah.
Whether that's waiting in a standby wait line, if it was fast pass only, if it was boarding groups, if it was a lottery system, whatever it is, people are going to complain about it and find reasons why it's not fair. Mainly because they want to go on. That's the reason why. And something that comes up with these boarding groups is there's only 2 fast pass locations that they're allowing people to go to in order to get a physical copy. You have to do it on your phone. What if you don't have a smartphone that's capable of doing it? Now Disney is saying, or now people are accusing Disney of not allowing poor people to do it. It's like, oh my God. Just stop. Just stop. It's excessive.
It is.
Am I saying that the boarding group system is perfect? No.
I don't think anything would be perfect.
It's extremely flawed. But like Nikki said, no situation would be perfect for this attraction.
If they do only physical line and physical fast passes, then the people who have kids who can't get their kids out of bed before 9 are going to be complaining that they can't get a fast pass and they never get to ride it. So no one is ever going to be happy.
But that's also people who are complaining about the boarding group system, where they're saying, oh well, I have to be there by 8, and if I'm in the gate by 8, I still might not get it.
Well, you know what? Then just enjoy your day and stop complaining. Go ride Space Mountain.
I know that there's some people who don't like the fact that Disney is doing anything of the sort and think kind of like it should just be a line. People should just wait. I think that would end up being a worse situation. I feel like the days of that kind of line, just waiting a huge line all day long, is completely gone. And it isn't because Disney, I don't necessarily think it's Disney's fault.
It's the
I think
fans.
People are extremely demanding, and if they don't get what they want, then they're going to complain, and you're going to have a lot of problems on your hands.
It's the fans.
As it is, people are complaining when they don't get a boarding group, and the line is out the door and down Main Street for City Hall.
Yeah.
So when you have a line, if you say they only did standby, which is what some people actually want, you spend all day in standby, 6-7 hours of your day, and you never get to ride it.
Kids will never do that. And I just feel like the boarding group system makes it, even though it is a lottery and it's more chance, it makes it more accessible to more people. And I think that the, frankly, kind of terrible mentality of a lot of Disney fans now makes this the only way it's possible. Because just look at the lines for a tiki mug or an exclusive pop. Can you imagine?
And then the people who show up and grab 50 of the ears and go off and buy 50 ears and then put them on eBay.
Yeah, so luckily they can't do that with the ride. But I mean, even the people
I put the ride on eBay.
No, but even the people selling their spots for Fantasmic or
it's crazy.
Or their spots for a parade, I mean, it's gotten so bad.
I haven't heard of that happening in a long time.
Well, because they stopped doing the first come first serve for Fantasmic. They made it the fast pass only. Yeah. For the most part.
Well, the parades still they told people with the parades you can't sit down early.
Yeah.
You can't save spots, but people still do it. But I've not heard of the whole I'm gonna pay to save that spot in a long time.
No, because they have kind of
squashed it.
But I mean, I'm just using that as an example of the mentality of park goers now, and Disney park goers.
It's pretty crappy.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I think that this was the best thing Disney could have done, based on just the park today, the nature of the Disney fans today.
And also, I mean, like in general, if Disney never said anything and was just like, hey, it's opening on this day, and they never said what time it was going to open. They never said what time the doors were going to open. They never said anything. People would still line up.
Yeah.
And then even if they're like, park is opening at 8, everyone has an equal chance at 8:10. Don't show up early. There's no point.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You're all going to do it on your phone. Everyone will have an equal chance. People will still line up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's human nature
People,
to line up.
even if, have you noticed the crowds of hovering people just waiting by the entrance to Rise? It's like,
I don't know if they're waiting for their boarding group or not. I'm pretty sure
they're
that's what it is.
probably waiting for their boarding group. So, I mean, it's human nature, so.
It's like, oh, I want to be the first person in my boarding group to get in there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We were like way across the park when our boarding group got called, and we're like,
I
oh,
think
okay.
we were coming out of Adventureland. Or
Yeah,
something,
no, we were. I think we were farther away than that. Or it was just like they were like, okay, we'll mosey over there. We got,
No, we were in Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, because we were going to go into Launch Bay, and the line was super duper long.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Screw this noise.
And then we're like, oh, our boarding group got called anyway.
Walked over, walked in, got to ride the ride, and came off. So, I mean, I don't think the ride is worth like a 10-hour wait in any world.
I don't think any ride is.
I don't think any ride is ever going to live up to to that wait ever.
Yeah.
But I do think it's worth it if you're able to get a boarding group. Obviously. Yeah. And wait all day for that, but because you still get to have fun, you still get to experience the other attractions. And just because you don't experience Rise of the Resistance doesn't mean that the day is ruined. That ride is going nowhere. Yeah. Remind yourself of that. When you go to Disneyland or Walt Disney World to ride Rise of the Resistance and you don't get to ride, remind yourself the ride is going nowhere. That ride is going to stay for a long time. Indiana Jones Adventure has been around for 25 years. Yeah. Which means Rise of the Resistance will probably be around for 25 years. Yeah. So, just keep that in the back of your head if you don't get to ride, because I know that it's hard to not be included, and there's the major case of FOMO, but ride's not going anywhere. Remember that you could always come back at some point in your life and ride it.
Yeah. And if you think your whole trip is ruined because you didn't get to ride it, you might want to just reevaluate your priorities.
Maybe reevaluate priorities. Yeah. Then also, if you are that person where it's like, I don't think I'm ever going to come back to this park again in my life, then I probably would go complain. Yeah. I definitely would go complain. Like, I am never ever coming back to this park for the rest of my life. Then I would go and say something. I would definitely go say something. But, yeah. I mean, I feel like those situations are probably few and far between. Yeah. So, it is what it is. But that's kind of our opinions. It lasted a bit longer than I wanted it to go.
I don't care. I needed to say what I had to say.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what noise that was. Ooh. That was a weird noise.
It was your Nikki scaring me noise.
Yes. Yes, she's holding a knife.
Always.
She just always holding a knife. Yeah. And everything. Every episode you've listened to, she's holding a knife.
I'm holding a knife. Sometimes two.
While staring at me, while saying everything. Yeah. All the happy, jokey laugh stuff she's doing, her eyes are wide open. They're not closed. They're wide open, just staring at me with a knife. It's quite unnerving.
I don't blink.
I don't blink. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in to episode 1 of season 4. God, Nikki's staring at me.
Oh, that was really...
Jesus Christ.
That was really hard not to blink for that long. I was just waiting for her to look at me.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the microphone.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
You ruined the outro.
No, I didn't. I make everything just a little bit better.
Maybe, yeah.
I do.
Just a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the episode 1 of season 4 of the Theme Park Duo podcast. We're happy to be back. We're excited to bring some new fun episodes to your ear holes. Yeah. Fill your ear holes up with our goodness. Ugh.
Just the ear holes.
Just the ear holes. Nothing. Nothing else. But yeah, we're very excited to bring you back some fun content, and hopefully everybody will tune in and have some new listeners along the way.
Yes, tell your friends.
Hey, dude, there's this podcast I listen to called Theme Park Duo Podcast. You should totally listen to it, man. It's super good.
Yeah, if you're on your way to...
That's an impression of somebody out there. I don't know who that is.
If you're on your way to a theme park with some friends in your car, just take control of the radio. Just put us on.
there's a theme park podcast I listen to. It's going to be super good tips and trips for our trip. It's going to be great.
Why are you making fun of our audience?
I'm not making fun of them. I'm just impersonating one of them. I don't know. It's one of them.
We
It's
just
definitely
lost
one of them.
one listener.
It's one of them out there. Who knows? I don't know who it is.
You know who you are.
Yeah. You know who you are.
Yeah.
I just don't know who you are.
That was a little aggressive.
I'm just
sorry.
slightly aggressive. I'm just kind of going off of statistics here. That statistically, there's at least one person that I'm imitating by doing that voice.
Statistically, is there just one person out there that listens to us that just screams everything?
Yeah, probably.
Ah!
Don't blow people's eardrums out. Yes.
Ah!
And statistically, there's probably one person that finds you funny.
That's mean.
Boom! Roasted!
If not funny, at least endearing.
People find you endearing.
Thank you.
They definitely do.
I hope so.
It's the kind of endearing where they want to just like pet you on the head and be like, "Aw."
It's fine. I don't like that.
Kind of like how all the other Beatles did to Ringo Starr.
I don't like people touching my head. I don't like the sound of my hair rubbing against my scalp.
That is a very random fact about you that I never thought you would share on this podcast ever.
Somebody's rubbing my head. It's terrible. It's like nails on a
The
chalkboard
sound
for me.
echoes in her
I
skull
hear
because
it
her brain
through.
is so small.
I hear it through my skull.
Okay, this podcast needs to end. This is episode 1 of many episodes this season. You guys are in for it. You're really in for it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this season.
Can't believe we made it to year 4.
Can't believe we made it this far without self-destructing.
Like and subscribe.
Yes. So, if you haven't already, make sure you head on over to social media and look up Theme Park Duo on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Are we close to some milestone somewhere?
We've hit over 1,000 on Instagram, which is insane.
That's good.
Finally. It's taken forever. YouTube's continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Twitter, we are almost at 3,000.
Woo!
That is a big milestone. So once we hit 3,000 followers on Twitter, we will do a pretty massive giveaway.
Yeah, we will.
So we have a few things that we want to give out that should be pretty fun. Hopefully, we'll do like a first, second, and third type of prize.
Yeah.
So once we hit 3,000, everybody who enters that contest will get an opportunity to win that prize.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, that's the biggest milestone coming up is 3,000 followers on Twitter.
That's good.
That's a big one. But yeah, if you haven't already, make sure you head over to the Twitter and follow us.
Yes, please.
So you can add to that, and we'll do that giveaway even sooner.
Uh-huh.
And then I hadn't said it at the beginning of the episode, but if you do leave a review on iTunes, a 5-star written review, we will read it here on the show.
Yeah.
We'll give you a shout out.
We'll shout you out.
With that being said, if you do want to reach out to us, you can always email us at
themeparkduo@gmail.com.
It's episode 1. I'm excited for the rest.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the other episodes. We're going to hit 100 episodes this season.
Oh,
So
milestones.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
So, once again, thank you so much for listening. And always remember, there's
always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. See ya.
Thanks for riding with the Theme Park Duo. Make sure to gather all your belongings before the end of the podcast. Bye-bye.